Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again for another episode of WVU Marketing Communications Today. Brought to you by the good folks at West Virginia University's Marketing Communications online graduate programs, as they explore unique MarComm strategies that'll help you inform, persuade, and inspire your audience. And today we're going to try and inspire you with some thoughts about diversity, a hot topic here in the news today here, with our guest, Michele Lanza.
Hi, I'm excited to be here to chat with you and Whitney. My name is Michele Lanza, and I run global talent acquisition for Ketchum, and I'm also the founder of a company called Work Wider, which is trying to change diversity for companies and create a way for companies to hire more diverse talent.
Welcome, Whitney. Topic is why diversity? Why now? Why are we suddenly worrying about diversity? It's certainly the topic of the day here, but why is this suddenly on the news? Why is this on our minds here again here today? Why haven't we diversified up to now?
I think in communications, we've tried to diversify in the past, and Michelle's going to talk about some work. I think the one article that was referenced was back in 2017. Obviously, we have more work to do, a lot more work to do.
You know, we're in the middle of all these Black Lives Matters and suddenly re-examination of systemic racism and lack of diversity and police forces, companies, everything else again. And the general reaction is, haven't we been here before? Haven't we talked about this before? Didn't we take care of this one already here?
Taking us too long, right? We make a few steps forward and we aren't able to continue it and keep it, and we have to work harder.
So what do you think, Michele? Is this a moment to really make a change, or are we going to be back revisiting this in 6 more years or 6 more months?
Well, I think that the exciting thing is that for many people, this was a wake-up call of what a lot of people, especially if you're in the Black and brown communities, have known for a long time, is that we really haven't addressed the diversity issue or the systemic racism that exists in our world, even in the workforce and in the work world. So I think that this is sort of a watershed moment where a lot of people have woken up. At Ketchum, we've been focused on diversity for a long time. It's been one of our core pillars of areas of focus. And while we've done some great work, we still have a lot more work to do. I think that a lot of companies have been focused on it, but I think now, given all of the news around these issues, I'm hoping that all companies engage not just in this moment, but really sustain this movement over time to really make meaningful change.
That's awesome, Michele. Thank you again. I read your bio and the work that you've done with LaunchPad and Work Wider. I think for us in communications, can you talk a little bit about why diversity is essential? I know a lot of people tie it back to moments in time where a company makes a very poor decision, but I think we would love to hear from you about why it's essential in our field.
I think that diversity and having different people as part of your organization and really having all underrepresented groups represented within your organization from a marketing communications perspective is critical, because you need to be as diverse as the audiences you're trying to reach so that you can really create authentic messages that resonate. And yes, there are many examples in which brands have gotten it wrong. And I think part of that is because the people that were sitting at the table weren't weighing in on whether the campaign that they were doing, the ad that they were doing, was going to be appropriate. And I think that we've seen time and time again that the need to have representation at the table and to really have campaigns that are created by diverse of an audience creators as possible is really critical to getting it right. I think now more than ever, a light has really been shined on the fact that this is critical. It's not just a nice to have anymore, but the need to diversify your staff is really a business imperative.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think it's a long time coming and we have a ton of work and opportunity to do. So 100% agree with you. In terms of our past and the work that you did with LaunchPad and things like that, what do you think has contributed to the lack of diversity in our industry? How have we gone wrong, and how do we correct that as we move forward?
I think part of it is that diversity was seen sort of as a separate thing versus it being really part of a business imperative. So I'm going to keep coming back to that because I think it's really critical. I think as an industry in general, we need to do a better job of attracting people to come into the industry to really show people what's possible from a communications perspective. So it's one of the reasons why we have a high school program at Ketchum so that we can really educate people on career possibilities of being in communications. So that's one thing that we're super proud of, and I know that there's a lot of other companies that are doing similar things, and I think that that's critical to growing the diversity in the industry as a whole. And I think that we need to have more intentionality about our hiring practices. LaunchPad is an example of that. So we had a fantastic fellows program, but what we were realizing, it was really the kid that had 2 to 5 internships that was getting the opportunity to get a spot at Ketchum. And we wanted to even the playing field. So what LaunchPad does is really give everybody the opportunity to show what they're capable of doing versus what they've already had the opportunity to do. And so it really changed who we hired. It made it so that we were hiring people that had never been in communications before, that hadn't had an internship. So it really evened the playing field and, again, changed who we hired. This need is also honestly why I created Work Wider, because there is not currently a platform that allows companies to look at all underrepresented communities in one place. And a lot of the job boards and career sites out there ask candidates to show up as one thing. And I think people are more complicated than that. And I think people want to show up as their full self in this age of transparency. Work Wider allows people to come in and show up in all the communities that they belong, but also allows them to be in the industry that they're working or want to join. And that's really a new way and approach to allow companies to hire underrepresented talent.
So there was one thing that you said in that I want to kind of revisit that I thought was really interesting with the high school program. Is part of it not knowing, seeing, or being familiar with our industry and having someone who helps guide you? And that's why earlier exposure, like in high school, is one of the ways to help change our representation?
Yes, I think that that's exactly it. Because if you look at numbers of how diverse our industry is in general, we definitely need to do better and hire more diverse people and really think about extending the criteria of how we're measuring candidates. But the reality is we need more people to come into the industry that are diverse. And so high school programs, I think, allow people to be like, oh, that's what it means to be a communications professional. That's what a career in PR looks like. And so I think exposing high school students to how much money you can make, the different career paths that exist in communications, whether it's advertising, PR, marketing. I think to some students that it's not a known career path.
I would agree. I think I'm old now, but it was much more in the engineering, math skills were talked about a lot, but some of these other areas, advertising, marketing, communications, weren't. And I was only exposed to it because of a relative. And then finding your way into college and you're trying to decide which major you want to be, or if you have a major and you change your major, how do you make that transition? So I think it's really, really interesting.
It's interesting that you say that you heard about it through a relative, because to a large extent, I think that that's the truth. I think that people get jobs through referrals. And when you have a population that is predominantly white in communications, then you're sort of continuing to perpetuate that cycle. A call out to all people out there, I would start diversifying your network and really helping to connect with people on LinkedIn that are not in your general circles, do informational interviews with people that are trying to break into this industry. I think we all have a part to do in trying to diversify this industry and bring more people into it. I think we also have to really look at people that want to change careers. So if you are in a adjacent profession, how can we give those people the skills to come into communications? What can we do differently to really train and upskill those people so that they can have a successful career in communications. You see it a lot with journalists. I mean, that's one way to do it. But there's other careers that have been similar that we could bring people in from outside.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to come back to your conversation about expanding your network, but I think we're going to take a break in the meantime. So hit us over to the break.
Okay, and one quick break just to remind you that WVU's Integrate Conference, hey, it's moved online. Only makes sense. That's where all the conferences are going these days with all the crisis and bugs brewing around. You can still participate. Marketing communications experts are waiting to tell you a variety of topics and ideas on how to explore unprecedented opportunities here during this unprecedented global pandemic. You can view the schedule and tune into the live virtual sessions at integrate.wvu.edu. So make Integrate part of your plans this year. Go online and visit integrate.wvu.edu. And one reminder again that West Virginia University's new Digital Marketing Communications Master's Degree program, it's fully online, and you can complete it in a year. With built-in certifications from platforms like Facebook and Google, the program gives you both the strategy and skills to reach audiences on existing and emerging media. Learn more at marketingcommunications.wvu.edu. Okay, back to this very timely topic of diversity here. And I guess I have to ask one question, and I hope I'm not a bomb thrower here. Are companies and businesses in general incentivized? Do they really, maybe not incentivized, is there a priority in their organization to diversify, or is it simply a checkbox on a long list of things? Okay, we did some of that. We made some efforts. I sometimes feel the same thing about culture and everything. Oh, yeah, we got the culture statement. We did all that. Good, check. We're not really going to do anything with it. We're really not going to make it a priority, but we've done it. We've filled in the box. Is that part of the problem, that we've just filled in the box too often without really saying, no, we really got to do this because we want to do this?
At my company, it is a priority. It's been a priority. It continues to be a priority. Obviously, there's more we need to do, and we've said that there's more we need to do. So I think the days of checking a box are over. I think we're all trying to move in the right direction. Some of it has to do with the available talent and getting the right talent in, the processes that we follow, things that Michelle's talking about.
Does the availability of digital programs like WVU, does that make it easier? Your guest was saying, well, gee, I don't know anybody in this field. Nobody in my community has ever done PR or marketing or advertising. I don't know anybody in this area.
I think that's a great segue into the question I was going to ask next, which is how do you network and expand your network? Personally, for me, being a part of the WVU IMC program was a great way to expand my network and speak to other people in different cultures and diversity. And so I was going to ask Michele, how do we expand our network? What are some tips and tricks to help us expand our network and ultimately expand the talent pool?
I really encourage people to follow influencers that are talking about this space, connect with people, again, on LinkedIn and other social platforms that are sort of outside of your normal circle. And I think that what you will find is that what you're exposed to from a news perspective and just a thought process perspective really shifts once you start opening your network to be more diverse and sort of outside of the normal people that you follow and the normal articles that you read. I do think that this is really a critical moment for everybody to do a little bit of self-education and reflection on sort of what their role has been in this process. And I think that this is going to take everybody leaning in. And part of it, of this whole, to go back to this whole checking the box thing, I think that consumers are going to demand more. If you look at 70% of millennials say that they will choose one brand over another if that brand is demonstrating inclusion and diversity. I think that LGBTQ plus community, the Black community, the Hispanic community, they're using their buying power to actually support brands that are committed to this. I think for brands that weren't awake to the importance of this, I think that they may begin to shift, especially, again, as people or groups, communities really leverage their buying and influence power.
That's great. And that led right into the next question. So that's awesome. The way we started the hour, how do we make this last? How do we make a lasting impression in the industry over time? Is it monthly check-ins? Is it a yearly review? What are the ways that we make these programs and changes last?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see, right? The companies that have been super vocal about the Black Lives Matter movement that's taking place right now, in 2 to 3 months, how committed they are. I feel optimistic that this is a different moment in time and that people are going to continue this momentum. And for organizations, for companies, really it's essential that if they leaned into this, that they can continue to lean in and continue to do the work, because this isn't going to be solved in a month. It's not going to be likely solved in a year. This is going to take the commitment of senior level people involved in companies saying, again, that it's a business imperative to address the diversity challenge all industries are facing and make substantive changes and continue to challenge themselves and push themselves to do the work to actually make change. This is exactly what you need to do, but I think each organization is going to need to evaluate where they are and what they need to do to address the issue, and again, to continue to challenge their own organization to do better. And that's certainly what we're doing at Ketchum. And again, back to sort of, this is why I founded Work Wider, is to give companies a tool to really be able to help address the hiring of diverse talent.
Do you want to go a little deeper into Work Wider? I think we touched on it, but I think it would be great if you want to speak a little bit deeper and how you believe it's going to impact the industry.
I think that there's this whole notion of you need to find diverse talent, and I think that we need to flip that upside down and actually create communities and places where people are engaging. And what Work Wider does is it's a full career ecosystem for all underrepresented talent on one platform. There's content, news that is directed towards those communities. There's also a community where you can engage and get mentorship. And then there's also jobs on there, as well as company profiles that really are companies that are committed to hiring diverse talent, but also creating cultures of belonging, so that they're really committed to doing the work of DE&I and making sure that everybody at their organization feels like they belong within the walls of the organization. So I think that that's really what Work Wider does. And that currently doesn't exist. Work Wider is the first platform to service all underrepresented communities in one place.
And if someone wanted to learn more about Work Wider, where would they go for information?
They should go to workwider.com. Because of the unprecedented time that we're in, we're offering free resume and career coaching for underrepresented people that have been impacted by COVID. So definitely for job seekers out there that need some help, we're here to support you.
And are there opportunities to volunteer or become involved as well, or mainly focusing on those seeking a job?
It's really not about just people that are seeking a job, because even people that are currently happy in their job, Work Wider creates a community for underrepresented people in all industries, and the content that's curated every day really supports that community and helps educate them not only about their industry but also their communities. So it's really a place to go even if you're not in an active job search.
So workwider.com.
And I have to point out, I'm looking at the site right here, you have a wide variety of opportunities for a wide variety of underrepresented people. It's not just people of color, it's veterans, women, people over 50, LGBTQ. I mean, all sorts of different categories of people you're trying to assist in breaking through the barriers and finding opportunities.
Yeah, because I really think we need to look critically at all underrepresented communities. I think that there needs to be a focus on race, but there's also all underrepresented communities need to be supported. And we have a disproportionate amount of people with disabilities in the workforce. Work Wider really helps address all underrepresented communities. Again, back to sort of the transparency piece, I think people want to show up as their full selves. And so that means you could be part of the LGBTQ plus community as well as a person with disabilities. So it really allows you to show up as your full, authentic self.
I applaud you in what you're doing here. Give the website once again here so everybody can check it out.
Yeah, it's workwider.com.
And it's just that. And is this a passion project? Is this a 501c3? I don't know how this entity's set up and structured here. Is it just you trying to change the world, or is there a whole organization behind this here?
It's not me changing the world alone, although it is definitely my passion project. I have a job at Ketchum that I am so love the work that I'm doing and so believe in what Ketchum as an organization is doing for communications. And so this is really a side project, a side hustle that other people are helping me with. But I honestly saw a need out there and no one was addressing it. And I really feel like we need to do a better job of helping companies hire diverse talent, underrepresented talent.
Well, and matching the two, because as Whitney says, sometimes it's a challenge for the companies. They've got opportunities, they've got desire, but they don't know how to reach these communities any more than the communities know how to reach them. There's a divide.
Well,
there's a chasm.
Hopefully I'm solving that.
That's awesome. I think we covered a lot of our questions. Michele, was there anything else you wanted to add? Obviously, putting together a plan, it sounds like assessing where you are as a company and the actions that you'll need to take and then how to sustain it might be just the very first step. Is there anything else you think people need to do just to begin? Because if you aren't doing this, clearly you need to be doing it. And if you are, maybe you're looking at it and wondering, am I doing what I need to be doing?
I think that what I would say is that this isn't a sprint, although we should all be sprinting to do our first thing for sure. But this needs to be a sustained effort to really make sure that everybody is truly committed to long-term, making sure that their populations are as reflective of the communities that we are in and ensuring that you're diversifying your workforce. But I think equally as important, making sure that you're doing the work so that the people that you have in your organization actually feel a sense of belonging. So you're making sure that you are looking at your practices and policies and building a culture of belonging so that people want to stay and can grow and have long-term careers within your organization. So looking at everything from your policies and practices, but also microaggressions, doing training to make sure that you're doing your best for everybody in your organization.
I'm just going to wrap it up here real quick, Michele, but I think that was awesome. So it starts at the very beginning, making sure people are aware of the careers and the possibilities, all the way up to once you are established in your career, seeing the future of where you belong in an organization and making sure you have the opportunity to grow and learn. And we have to work on it from the beginning all the way through the end. And we have obviously more work to do. So I appreciate you being with us today. Thank you so much, Michele from Ketchum Global Talent Acquisition. She leads there, and her own work on Work Wider as well as LaunchPad. Amazing job, and thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Well, there you have it. Another great example of WVU's marketing communications today. You can make a difference. Make it a real change starting today.